Hello everyone, I'm Cloud and welcome to Anime No Mi. Today we are going to talk about the power of Akainu, someone who has long been intent on destroying Monkey D. Luffy. Not only that, someone who could easily become the king of pirates if he left the navy, and that according to Oda himself. We will talk about it and more in today's video. And I already count on your support to make the I like it. Your like it is very important and helps the channel. I also count on you a lot to subscribe if you are still new here. You are very welcome to our crew. Sakazuki, or rather the Akainu, is visibly one of the most powerful people in the world of One Piece. However, did you know that the fleet admiral according to Oda could easily become the king of pirates? As we know, Luffy's dream is to go to Laugh Tale, or rather Laftel, and basically there find Roger's legacy, become the king of pirates and find the One Piece. However, in an interview that took place around 2014, Oda, while questioned about Akainu, made a frightening revelation about the current leader of the navy, or rather, if Akainu was not a great sailor but a pirate, he would be in a short time the biggest pirate. This is because Oda said the following, that if Akainu was the protagonist of One Piece was Sakazuki, he would simply find One Piece in just 1 year. But what does it mean? What does One Piece creator Oda consider Sakazuki unstoppable? Easily more powerful than the Yonkus? Is Luffy still infinitely distant from being able to overcome Akainu? And well, before we talk about the fleet admiral's powers and the current powers of the Mugiwara, we need to analyze the Oda sentence. And basically, first of all, what did the author mean by that phrase? After all, we have two interpretations. The first is that Oda meant that in the first year of manga publishing, with Akainu being a pirate, having the power he possesses, and being the protagonist of the series, he would simply cross the East Blue, enter the Grand Line, travel the New World, and he would reach Laftel, finding Gold Roger's treasure in just a single year, that is, surpassing all other pirates who venture at sea. And well, that's the interpretation most people had of Oda's message, that he would soon arrive in the One Piece. But there is another interpretation of the same phrase, which seems to be what the author really wanted to convey. When speaking that Akainu, with his current power having started an adventure as a pirate, would find the One Piece in just 1 year, he didn't mean that within a year of the manga's publication, but that he would easily go through the adventures that Oda had created for your protagonists. Because as we know, at the beginning of his journey as a pirate he was extremely inexperienced, and for this reason he ended up going through several difficulties when encountering enemies who crossed his path, and that, as a result, ended up having his journey extremely delayed. However, even with all that, and even with the time skip he was training, Luffy so far only started his journey as captain of a pirate crew just 2 years ago. That is, for Akainu, who was already frighteningly powerful, he wouldn't need keep training. He would also easily defeat Luffy's enemies, Buggy, Kuro, Don Krieg, Arlong, Crocodile, Enel, and most of the opponents that Luffy faced and went through difficulties could be easily defeated by Akainu, who was already extremely powerful to the point of not even fearing facing Edward Newgate. So with all that, we can understand that being the protagonist of One Piece, he would easily go through everything Luffy went through, and as until now, with all the difficulties that the Straw Hat went through, he didn't even reach 3 years of adventure, so Akainu going through all that and more in a year wouldn't be difficult. In short, if we changed Oda's phrase to if Luffy had Akainu's power level as an admiral right when he started his journey, then he would go through everything he's gone through quickly and evolve even further in his journey. But going back, in short, this phrase does not mean that Akainu would come across Newgate, Kaido, Linlin, or other big opponents he would win easily. In fact, just that with his power and experience he would do better in these situations, or something like that. So obviously Akainu is not invincible. I actually have to admit that I wish Sengoku hadn't held Garp down and let him melt a certain volcano in Marineford. However, now that we've covered Oda's phrase and seen what he possibly meant, let's talk about Luffy and the fleet admiral. As we know, Akainu is someone completely scary, because since his time as vice admiral he was already unstoppable. As for example, he destroyed the Ohara evacuation ship during the Buster Call, simply because perhaps a scholar could have escaped. And as we've seen, all the admirals know about Haki. However, Akainu was only shown using the Busashoku Haki, and was impressed to see that Luffy has the King's Haki. And now, as we know, after the time skip, Luffy greatly evolved the power of his Haki by learning how to control it, and that obviously doesn't mean that Luffy is as powerful as he is just because he has the King's Haki. After all, we saw how Akiji, even not possessing or demonstrating to possess the King's Haki, is strong enough to fend off the Flamingo, as we saw when he saved Smoker. That is, having the King's Haki doesn't also make you more powerful than anyone else. However, at the same time, we now see how Luffy possesses the power of the King Forward's Haki, at least he was able to use in the confrontation over Kaido, and that in this case case may be his only advantage in a confrontation against Sakazuki, and that's when the Mugiwara is more experienced. Even because we know that Akainu has the power of a Logia-type Akuma no Mi, and thus, only those who know how to use the Busashoku Haki are able to play it, which makes him practically invincible against most pirates outside the New World, even being quite dependent on the powers of his Akuma no Mi. This is because we see how even Akainu considered himself superior to Ace for having a more powerful Akuma no Mi of flames, in this case magma. And with all that, many people consider that Luffy is currently evolving into Wano for an encounter with Akainu where he can tie or at some point with more experience defeat him, all this because he is precisely evolving the skills that are weaknesses of the Admiral of Navy Fleet. That's because we saw how Luffy and Udon went on to train and learn advanced Busashoku Haki, where he is now able to, well, in short, create a new layer of hardening around his body, and this in a completely invisible way. And it can be used in a way to defend yourself, almost in a way to be untouchable in the Haki-coated parts of the king, and offensively, it is possible to transfer the power of the Haki that has been gathered around to the opponent's body, exploding from the inside out, being the most powerful way to use this Haki. And as we are seeing, this is not only a useful power against a Yonko, but extremely useful against Logia users, in case Akainu is one of them, that even having Busashoku Haki, maybe not even know this way to use the Haki that is much more powerful. Also, we know how it is was not the only evolution, as during his battle against Kaido, and with some flashbacks, Luffy figured out how to use Haki's advanced knowledge to strengthen his king's Haki, something he noticed that Kaido did. And basically being the same concept of the invisible layer around his body constantly, something Kaido himself said even among the king's Haki users was even rarer. And as we saw, with this way of using Haki Luffy he was even able to strike Kaido, and we saw that the king's Haki is basically the way to face the leader of the pirates of the beasts. But we don't stop there. Many believe that this form of expansion of the king's Haki is the secret of Kaido's invincibility, of him considering himself and being considered by many invincible. After all, he survived so much. And really with this way of using Hoshiko Haki and Busashoku Haki, it really isn't even necessary to physically touch your opponents. So with that, it really is much easier not only to attack, but also to prevent being attacked, to prevent attacks from your opponents to touch you. Even so, with all that, you can't wait right now for a new confrontation between Luffy and Akainu where the pirate can and once and for all end that battle. After all, even the boy with the straw hat being able to use this Haki, he has no experience yet, being completely far from the level that Kaido is at. At the same time, we know that we can have a confrontation between Luffy and the Navy, because apparently Sabo was captured. We can assume that from the news that came out in the newspaper and involved the boy, something that the revolutionaries are already looking for, and if something really happened, Luffy would definitely go to fight. And this time with all his evolution, along with the evolution of his gang that was not with him in the confrontation of the best, now they could all together go to the rescue of their captain's brother, and this time save him, and for that, Luffy would be in front Akainu again. But comment below what you think about Luffy's evolution and Oda's phrase about Fleet Admiral Sakazuki. Don't forget to leave your likes in the video to help the channel, and also subscribe if you're still new here. The channel is new and needs your help. Thank you so much for watching our video so far. Your support is very important. See you in the next video. Bye.